Что на землі калузі, сіяте ко ангели, сіяте ко ангели.
Dobro jutro, dobro ljudi i dobrodošli na moj kanal. Ja sam vojvoda Johannesburga i danas je državni praznik, tako je odličan da se snimati novi video. Good morning, good people. I'm the Duke of Johannesburg, and today is a public holiday here in Johannesburg, so I figured what a perfect day to record a new video talking about the Serbian language and my own language learning routine. Today just so happens to be the coldest day of the year so far at -3 degrees Celsius, that is. And yeah, so I'm wearing my South African colors here, and I figure I'm just going to lay out my basic daily routine so far as language learning goes, and I'm going to record it on my phone because why not? Probably actually better quality than my actual camera. So without further ado, hajde da počnemo. Let's get started. So yeah, like all Orthodox Christians, I begin the day with morning prayers or matins, reading from the Serbian prayer book, basically the same as any other prayer book. It just so happens to be in Serbian. And of course, I've gone out of my way to make sure that I do understand everything that I'm saying, and any words that were a bit of a challenge, I added to my vocabulary list. And of course, I've been saying it for at least about a year now, so I've pretty much memorized the entire thing. So I do like to
Cara nebeski utešitelju, duše istine, koji se svuda presutani sve ispunjevaš, riznico dobara i davače života, dođi i useli se o nas i očisti nas od svake nečistote i spasi blagi duše naše. Sveti Bože, sveti krepki, sveti besmrtni, pomiluje nas. Sveti Bože, sveti krepki, sveti besmrtni, pomiluje nas. Sveti Bože, sveti krepki, sveti besmrtni, pomiluje nas. Slava Otcu i Sinu i Svetome Duhu, sada i uvek i o vjekove vjekova. Amin. Presveta Trojice, pomiluje nas. Gospode, očisti grehe naše, Vladiko, prosti bezakonje naša, sveti poseti i isčeli nemoći naše, imene Tvoga radi, Gospodi pomiluj, Gospodi pomiluj, Gospodi pomiluj, slava Otcu i Sinu i Svetome Duhu.
Because I purchased this beautiful pravoslavni molitvenik from the local Serbian church. It has pretty much a prayer for everything, but of course, every day will begin with the jutarnja, or matins, molitve jutarnje. And of course, I've said this enough times that I've basically memorized most of it off of by heart, and of course the meaning behind all of it, since it is basically the same as what I would have been saying in English in the beginning anyways. Then, towards the end of the day, at evening time, when all is done and dusted, I like to wind down with some reading material that's somewhat within my level, but still provides me with sufficient enough challenge that I can underline words that I don't understand and add it to my vocabulary. For example, here's one of the magazines that I picked up from the local Serbian parish, Svetosavsko Ognjište, which basically means the hearthstones of Saint Sava. Actually, very interesting issue from 2017 about the first Orthodox church in Botswana, Prvo Pravoslavna Crkva Botswani. I wonder what Botswani means. Actually, my dear friend Otatsi Silo had a lot to do with its initial erection. And last night I was reading this very interesting article on the 100-year anniversary of the Toplica uprising. As you can see here, I've underlined words that I don't understand. So in the first paragraph, there's maybe 6 words that I don't understand, which for me is definitely a progression, which means I basically understood everything that I was reading, just a couple of gaps. So what I invariably do then is I add those words to my pretty extensive vocabulary list. So pretty much all of these words are words that I understand and am capable of conjugating and forming sentences with. I just do like to keep these lists on hand so that I can test myself and keep the mind sharp and fresh. Then after that's all done and dusted, I invariably, typically, continue on to do some of my homework, domaći zadatak, for my Serbian učitel, Serbian teacher, who, as I mentioned in some previous videos, is actually the wife of the local Serbian priest, Otac Silo, a dear friend of mine. Both of them are dear friends of mine. And in fact, she's been so kind as to actually give me these Serbian lessons for free. And invariably, my homework consists of me having to write 1 page about something that I experienced during the week or something that interests me in Serbian, in which I will read it to her and she will correct, wherever I've gone wrong, which is usually pertaining to grammar or case conjugation. So here's basically an example that I pulled up of some of that homework that I did. As you can see, it's not exactly very neat, but it's obviously not my first language, so yeah, let's read a little bit of that. Juče proslavio smo vasnesenje Gospoda našeg, kada Isus vazneo je na nebesa, kao on će opet dolazi u kraj vremena. Proslavio sam u Ruskoj crkvi, jer ne bila je liturgija na Svetom Nikolaju. Basically, so I'm saying, yesterday we celebrated the ascension of our Lord when Jesus ascended into heaven, just like how he will come again in the end of times. And I celebrated at the Russian church because my regular church didn't have liturgy, just because it is during the week. So there we go. Turns out I only really made 2 major mistakes, and they were of course pertaining to grammar and cases. As I mentioned, the Serbian language does have a very complicated case system, unlike the English language. And of course, some advice on writing anything in a foreign language in general. I would say use vocabulary that you know. Don't look up words in order to express yourself. Try and use whatever vocabulary you are familiar with to try and express yourself thusly, and that way it really becomes an exercise of comprehension and not so much an exercise of composing something off of Google Translate, in which case chances are the grammar is going to come out even more messed up than it would otherwise. So that basically concludes my daily language learning routine. It's not very complicated and it's not very time consuming, which I believe works for the better because it is something that one can manage to actually do every day. And I believe really no matter how demanding one's schedule is, you can definitely at least find that 1 hour throughout the day to do all of these things. When that is all finished and I'm done with everything that I just outlined, I also like to wind down by watching some Serbian content on YouTube. I definitely recommend the channel Televizija Hram. Basically, it means television, well, church television. Actually directly translates to television temple, but you have strange things like that, I suppose, in translation. But very good channel. Definitely is an Orthodox Christian channel where they discuss church news and have little bite-sized bits of wisdom from various priests and talk about Serbian history and such. So I guess I like to also stay linked up with what is happening on the ground there in Serbia and within the Orthodox Church. Otherwise, that concludes this video. I hope that within my own personal language learning routine, I managed to convey something useful that someone else that's interested in learning whatever language they choose may be able to apply to their own language learning routine. And with that being said, Boga pomagał, God bless, the Lord has helped, and until next time, Duke of Johannesburg, out. Out.